Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Prime Time at the library. My name is Barrett Fisher. I'm the Dean of Academic Programs, and for about 30 seconds, I'm your MC, and then I'll turn it over to someone who's much better qualified. Prime Time is a Bethel Library program that's a collaboration between the Friends of the BU Library, Academic Affairs, and other offices on campus that celebrate learning in and especially beyond the classroom of Bethel, faculty, students, and staff. So thank you for joining us. It's our first presentation this year. If you miss any presentations or would like to see past events, they're archived in the community video collection in the Bethel Digital Library on the library website. Coming up next Thursday, October 26th, Edgren Scholars Dr. Peggy Kendall, Professor of Communication Studies, and Tristan Thomas, a Senior Communication Studies major, will present their examination of the problems associated with virtual psychological safety and provide management solutions to help create safe and satisfying virtual workplaces. So in my role, I have the privilege and the honor of working with Dr. Claudia May, who is the Executive Director of the Center for Community Engaged Learning, and also the Professor and Program Director of Reconciliation Studies, where she does an outstanding job in both roles. And so I'm going to let her introduce and facilitate today's presentation.
Thank you, Barrett. It's lovely to see such beautiful faces, faces of the world here. So I'm going to start us off by just saying good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, that is so weak. Oh, I think you could do better than that, okay? Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, that's much better. Okay, my name is Dr. May, and it's an absolute privilege to be here. We have three fantastic students who are going to be delivering their reflections with us today. Please get a pen and paper to take notes, because these are true educators as well as contributors to advancing our understanding and experience of community engaged learning by partnering with our partners who bring such wisdom and insight and lived experience to the table, some of whom are here today. And we do want to thank members of the Urban Farm and Garden Alliance. Would you stand up, please? Thank you. Thank you. Melva's not here yet, but these are individuals who literally poured into our students over the summer, and they can themselves testify to the impact they and those who are not with us. Cherie is also another person who's not with us, but right now, but who gave of themselves so generously. If there's anything I will say about our community partners, if there was one word next to love that I would give them, it would be generosity. They absolutely embody generosity. I do want to just say that I want to advertise, and this especially for the students, that we will, you'll see on your seats positions for the Community Work Study Initiative for Summer 2024, and we are accepting applications, so please apply if you are so inspired by our educators, and then all student educators, and we are also accepting spring appointments as well, so please apply. This is truly what I would call transformative learning. And it's just not just about the books, but it's about human interaction, relating to diverse peoples who bring so much to the table in terms of what we learn and how we learn. With that, I will pray, and then we'll start a short video, and then our first speaker will be coming up. And our first speaker is Max Lopez. All right, okay. All right, so let me pray. God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, we thank you for this time to gather together to be community, the beloved community. Thank you for the diverse peoples that are here, family, co-contributors, partners in the journey of learning from each other, learning about each other, learning alongside one another. I pray to be with each student, educator who's going to be sharing their experiences, their truths with us. Help us to be attentive to the wisdom and the insights and the experiences they share with us. Thank you for this sacred opportunity to hear their sacred stories. And again, Lord, I thank you for the honor and privilege of serving you in this context and beyond. In your Son's name, Jesus Christ, God and Holy Spirit. Amen. I'm going to ask Max, you can clap. I'm going to ask Max to come up because this incredible young man, and we know this, those of us who have the privilege to learn from, I'm going to start crying, learn from Max, be taught by Max, be inspired by Max Lopez. He was the one that created this video. So I do want to ask us to give him a clap for just his contribution. So the floor is yours.
All right. Can we do breathe in and breathe out together really quick? Okay. First, breathe in. And breathe out. All right. Thanks, guys. Cool. So my name is Max, and I got to work with you this summer. It was awesome. And Dr. May gave us a couple of prompts to go off to, and this is the one I described. Does it have a? Yeah. Okay. Cool. And this is the one that I chose. So 2 things off of this prompt first, though. There wasn't a moment that, in specific, that really made me feel like, wow, like this is amazing. There wasn't one of those. There was a bunch of those that happened this summer, and they happened in a lot of small ways, and a lot of particular ways, and a lot of specific ways. Whether it was with the team, whether it was with Melvin and Megan, whether it was with the kids, and it happened multiple times. And then second thing on this prompt I want to mention is the power of community collaboration. I don't know about you guys, but when I think of community collaboration, what comes to mind automatically is something big. It makes me think about 2 communities coming together and working together. And I bring that up because I want to emphasize that I don't think community collaboration only happens in large groups of people. I feel like it can happen in smaller groups of people, including the team that we had. It was 4 of us this summer, no, 5, and it was really awesome to see that community collaboration happen with us, even amongst each other, the 5 of us. So we got some pictures here. Shout out to Respect right here. Look at he's having a good time. So these represent some of the smaller and the bigger moments that happened in between us that I got to really, really appreciate. One being a little field trip that we had to the Como Conservatory where we were just hanging out and we were just having a good time. And then this picture that I took of Respect that I felt like embodied working under the sun. There was a clear sky, and I felt like this was the POV, the point of view of like the plant, what it was seeing when we were like over them, like taking the weeds and stuff. And so I thought that was cool. And then right here, you can see Amber right here. She's holding this lemonade. We had this best, you can't snap, bro. He didn't like the lemonade. He's a hater. Me and Amber, we love this lemonade. We were like, this is top notch, and Respect, like, I can make it better. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And then there's this plant I put together. I got the plants. And then this little moment between me and this little leaf that I wanted to capture, and just feeling it and just letting my hand kind of taste it. And just, I don't know. I want to emphasize again, like these moments happened in a lot of small ways like this, where I got to, or any of us just got to feel something very, very, like, in the grand scheme of things, it may seem minor, but it felt good to be able to enjoy a moment like that and capture it and be able to show you guys. So, and then the children's garden, that brought a lot of challenges, specifically for me, because I am not the most patient person in the world. It really depends who I'm working with. If I'm with Dr. May, I gotta be patient because obviously she could, you know what I'm saying? Like, she'll cut me off quick. Or she'll dock my grade faster than a blink. But no, with these kids though, it was always like, oh, we're trying to focus on this, but then one kid escapes and he's playing with the water, or he's playing with the hose, or he's like taking off these plants. And so for me, it was having to really understand, okay, how do I want to approach this moment? Do I want to be patient? Do I want to take the high road and the challenging road and maybe learn something here? Or do I want my anger and impatience to overcome and, if anything, just kind of act like it's not happening? And for me, it was always the challenging one because I had leaders around me that inspired me to do that, like Melvin and Megan. And so as hard as it was and challenging as it was, I would always choose to take the high road and be a leader for the children. And so this was all an amazing learning experience. So these I got to get on my film camera. So they look pretty nice. I don't know what y'all thinking about. When I took them, I was proud of them. I was really proud of them. And I picked these pictures because, and so I got a bunch, and I picked these ones because I feel like there's a lot of layers here. So right here, you can see all the different canopies kind of layered on top of each other. You got some people working here. In the back, you got Amber over there. You got more layers. This one came out super blurry, but you can still see the layers. Excuse me. And then you can see people working on top of one another. And I feel like it gives a perspective of how much it takes to make a village, to make a community event like this. It took a lot of work, a lot of sweat, and a lot of people to put this together. And me being able to capture the layers, the moments that I was able to really see everything on top of one another, felt amazing to be able to experience. And then there were other moments where they weren't so off guard, and I would really walk up to people like, "Hey, can I take a picture, y'all?" And they'd be like, "Yeah." And I'd be like, "Okay." And I know that I can be awkward, but I had to really step up and be like, "Hey, can I take a picture of you guys?" And maybe it's not that serious for you, but for me, I get nervous. But I was still really, really grateful to have gotten these, have these pictures, have these people say, "Yeah, like, of course you could take a picture, you know, for the archives, for the community, for the long run." And I was really proud to have gotten these. And my favorite picture was this one that got to really, really, really define what this summer meant for me, like last year, in a sense, was this one. This is definitely a placeholder for any and all of us, between the mentor and the mentee, or the leader and the follower, or the boss and the employee, however you want to label it, between whether that's Megan and Amber, these two guys, whether it's Melvin and me, Megan and me, being able to be under these leaders this summer was so special. And the moments in which I got to stand back and listen, I was really grateful for. I always complained about being the follower or being just the youngest and having to sit under leadership. I was like, I want to be in leadership. But then when I got to leadership, I was like, wait, no, let me go back to, I want to follow. But I wouldn't have it any other way, being able to learn from these leaders like Melvin, Maven, Lisa, and everybody that helped us out, to be able to help me step into leadership. These were amazing people that truly helped me. And moments like these, literally this moment there are moments that I live for and that I'm extremely grateful for. So, thank you.
You can come up. So those of us who had the privilege of interacting with Amber, and those of us who interviewed her, Megan, we know this, right? Straight up, we're like, this is a star in the making. This woman is fierce in all kinds of ways. I mean, she truly is. The breadth of her gifts is amazing. And I do want to actually thank Dr. Beth, because I see your handprint here on this, one of your students, and it was a real blessing to have her as a member of our team. She's a true innovator, a great strategist, and this is key, she's also teachable. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Amber Pomeroy.
Thank you, Dr. Mann. I will never forget, on one of the first days of our orientation, this is similar themes to my video, we were getting prompted on how to properly water in the gardens, and Cherie and Megan were helping us identify what was a weed and what wasn't a weed, which was tricky. When Melvin told us that our priority for the first few weeks to follow was to do nothing. I sat there thinking, I'm confused. I thought I just signed up to do a gardening job that would require hard labor and sweaty days, which it did. But what I soon realized what Melvin meant by do nothing was be present. So while this past summer was filled with lots of challenging tasks and plenty of manual labor, I will not forget the day that Respect and I helped out the U of M. We carried a lot of soil that day. We definitely went home early that day. The life lessons I learned about being present will and definitely already have carried me farther than Rondo and beyond. So the first way that I learned to be present this summer was by being present to nature. Truly, I cannot tell you how many photos of cats I have on my phone because they were all over the gardens this year. But I think being immersed in the gardens really opened my eyes to how beautiful it is to pay attention to what's around you. And also to what a force it is to be able to fruitfully multiply a seed into a bounty of greens. I mean, this is not what this looked like in the beginning of summer. It looked way rougher than this. I just think that's beautiful, that we can turn a seed into a kitchen full of greens for people to use and to eat. And people were taking initiative over their own garden spaces this summer, which was so cool to witness. Also, be present to teamwork. The amazing team would not be what they are without the collective effort of every individual that contributed to our work this summer. Dr. May leading our book talks, Respect with his Hori, and Max and Megan and Diane and Melvin and Lisa and Cherie. What I learned about myself this summer and my leadership, I would not have been able to apply if it weren't have been for my team that was there backing me up. It's a true testament to how God sent these people were in my life when I needed some handicaps after I was injured and sick this summer. Not only was I diagnosed with Lyme's disease this summer, but I also had to get stitches one of the first few weeks because I was cutting a cantaloupe. And my team was there for me, finding ways that I would still be useful, even when I felt like I couldn't do anything. I remember Mira and Respect being like, Amber, do you want to mow? While they were like digging out these huge trees and huge branches. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. But they worked with me, and I really would not be here without this team that was backing me up. It was a busy summer with lots of things thrown on our plates. Between trying to find a place to put a bouncy house, a humongous bouncy house that arrived way earlier than expected for an event, or trying to figure out how we were going to possibly water at all of our garden sites between planting and meetings. Somehow we made it work. If not for a little bit of ice cream from Scoops, a lot of ice cream from Scoops, and some really good lemonade. Be present to gratitude. One of the biggest things that I have taken out of my time spent in the community this summer is how important it is to be grateful. Our community partners definitely taught me this summer. On the left here is Keo. Keo was a really big inspiration to all of us this summer. And he fearlessly guided us day in and day out at our home base, Camphor Memorial United Methodist Church. He was right there with us, getting his hands dirty and laying out mulch. But what stuck out to me more was how grateful he was that we were helping him. He cared about us and our personal lives beyond just us as gardeners. I remember him always trying to talk to Respect about his choral performances and trying to get him to come in. And he would make jokes with us. and he was just awesome. On the right here is Ngozi. I think that she was one of my favorite people that we interacted with all summer. I'll never forget the day and we went and brought plants over to Mr. Jean's house for Ngozi and Mr. Jean to plant, and how mesmerized she was to be receiving them. She came back to the Peace Garden with us, and we gave her a bunch more plants. And she basically said, "I'll take anything you'll give me." And she was so grateful, with the biggest smile on her face the whole time that we interacted with her. But the gratitude this summer wasn't just from people that we helped tend their gardens. I was even more grateful for the people that invited us into their yards. They shared personal details of their lives with us, like how their families had been split apart because of the construction of 94 right through their neighborhoods. They let us hold their grandchildren. They welcomed us with open arms and left us with big smiles and tight hugs every time we visited them, for which I am forever grateful. Be present to growth and be present to community. Each of us grew and stretched ourselves in different ways this summer that required a lot of vulnerability. This is something that we talked about a lot in our book clubs with Dr. May and Megan. There were a lot of tears shed and a lot of revelations about who we are and how we interact with the community and how people's stories are theirs to share. I want to say thank you to our leaders, to Megan and Melvin, Cherie and Lisa, and Dr. May, for showing us what it means to be present to each other's stories. I want to thank my fellow amazing team members, Max, Respect, Mira, and Greenleaf, for allowing me to be myself this summer and for getting to be a small part of your story. The long days of dirt under our fingernails and sweat at the end of the day are now in the past, but the memories I made in a place like Rondo, a place that holds so much depth and opportunity to be present and engaged with those around you, those memories will always stay with me. Thank you.
And of course, Respect is going to get up and get his water as I'm introducing him.
I'm so sorry.
And so our last presenter for today is Respect Junga. So would you like to come up? And again, another brilliant, sensitive soul, I will say, a deep intellectual thinker, and also somebody who is also teachable in many ways. Thank you.
All right, just get a quick drink of water again. Sorry. All right, before I begin, an important thing I've learned from Dr. May is just like showing gratitude. So there's a couple of just thanks that I want to say. First of all, Dr. May, thank you very much for giving us the space to reflect on our summer. I spent like a couple of weeks trying to reflect on this entire experience, and there was a lot that like I didn't get a chance to think about after we had left UFGA. Like life just became busy, and just getting this time to reflect on that and get to look back and listen to those presentations. It's very great, and I want to thank you for just giving us opportunity to do this. And I want to thank Melvin, who is not here yet. But I just want to thank Melvin for just pouring into us this summer. It was an unforgettable summer for sure. as I had said in my presentation, I wasn't expecting a lot from this semester, from this summer, but it ended up being one of the like biggest learning experiences of my life, and I'm still reaping the fruits from it even today. Megan, who is here, thank you very much for just helping me find myself. I also lied in the video. I won't be I won't be going too deep into like this transformation that I got to experience, but I did want to thank you for, you know, your time at the Children's Garden. And I remember you made a comment sometime during the summer where you're like, you're different from last year. You just feel more human. And hadn't been something I'd been like conscious about, but I realized this year, especially with the Children's Garden, how like gentle I'd become and just present with the kids who were like, you know, I feel the same way as Max. I am not a patient person, but somehow this summer it had become different, and that's was thanks to just watching you and how you engaged with the youth. And then Lisa, oh my goodness, I can say okay. So I tend to be, I don't say like very judgmental, but at times I tend to be like a very judgmental and like critical person when it comes to like, you know, people who I don't know much about, and I just judge them on first impression. And just watching you and how you engage with people, you are such a kind soul, and you don't approach people with like this manner of like, oh, I'm better than this person, or this person is less than me, and somehow because like they think differently or they live life differently, you just appreciate and love. And it's been great to just over these 2 summers just watch you and learn from you in that respect. And okay, there's a lot more on to think, but I'm just gonna keep it brief and just the entirety of UFGA. I want to thank the program. I'm not allowed to go back next year, even though I wanted to. They're like, nah, you can't come back. So I just want to thank you, UFGA, for just pouring into me throughout these two summers. It's like I've experienced tremendous growth thanks to all of this. So that was the first part. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. I didn't forget about you, Diane. I'm gonna give you, Diane. Oh, like. You're such a free spirit, and I'm not there yet. I'm aspiring to be like you. I remember when we were having a reconciliation meeting, and something that had been said had like really gotten under my skin, and I was like very, very upset. And then I remember you getting up to hug that person that had said that upsetting thing, and then reminded us to like not take things personally and just like listen and be present to people who like, you know, we can disagree with. And I remember like observing that, and in my anger and like, you know, I was just like a bit blinded. So it wasn't a big moment at the time, but as I've gotten the opportunity to reflect, that was like such a big moment for me. And like looking at what I want to become as a person, you are a very great model to follow. I want to thank you very much for just you. Yeah. All right. And now to get to my little presentation. So I might get in trouble for this one. But I think looking back, going after both Amber and Max, I wish I could take back some of this, but at the same time, I feel like it's something that needs to be said. I titled this, What Happens After We Leave? So a few weeks back, honestly like a month now, I went back to the Children's Garden. I think it was on my birthday. Was it my birthday? It was on my birthday. Okay, yeah, it was on my birthday. I went back to the Children's Garden, and I was speaking to Cherie, and I was told that after we had finished working with the UFGA, that when the amazing team left, the gardens had stopped being tended to. This really saddened me, and in thinking about it, like and reflecting about it, I thought to myself, this feels like a small scale example of what like charity looks like within our society. Like I could stand here and talk about how amazing this summer was, how I got to learn about gardening and how I came out of it a better and more empathetic person, which like is true to some extent. But the reality of the matter is that while I did get to learn a lot, for me personally, I still came out of it feeling a little bit unaccomplished, because at the end of the day, I feel like nothing I did led to any lasting change. Reflecting on the summer, in some instances, it feels like a lot of it was just temporary relief. And this brought me to a discussion I had with Melvin a few weeks before we ended our time in Rondo. He asked us something along the lines of, what's the difference between social justice and charity? And I remember just sitting there like, oh man, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I couldn't give him a proper answer. And then to summarize the conversation, he ended up telling us that social justice empowers the community while also bringing about lasting change. And charity temporarily addresses an issue, which is good. But once the people giving that charity leave, things go back to the way they were. So while reflecting on this, like, I wanted to do this presentation with like, oh, let me bring solutions. But at the end of the day, I'll be very, very honest. I don't have any answers. So I'm not coming here with answers, but like before I end, I just have a couple of questions I want to ask. And the first one is, in the grand scheme of things, which of these two approaches are we striving to foster? And I have this question, like, is sending students to Rondo and Frogtown to help for one summer and then just having them leave to never think about or ever engage in those communities ever again, is that justice or charity? And can we or should we do more to further help this program? But like I said, I don't want to cause any trouble, so I'll end by just saying this. I want to urge upcoming UFGA teams to think about this idea of like charity and social justice, not just in a simplistic binary manner, because like there are spaces for charity and also social justice. But I want to urge you guys, if you end up going into this space, to think about it in like a very critical manner that appreciates the complexity and the need for the union between both. Thank you.
Okay. So as you can see, these are young people that have learned to, I'm going to use a term that Julia K. Dinsmore has taught me that I love. They have, and this is a joke, by the way, so you can laugh, okay? They have learned to swallow their words. They don't speak their truth. They self-edit what they have to say. No, that's not what they're doing. Obviously, part of the freedom of, I believe, of good education is for this kind of critical dialogue. So you won't get into trouble, although I will downgrade you when you take seriously. I'm kidding. But these are really great critical questions, because it's in the critical questions that you help us, or we help each other to see beyond what we know. And so thank you for speaking your truth. And I can't imagine, when you were able to have that conversation with Melvin. And did Melvin listen to you? He did, didn't he? I didn't have to be there to know that. And so there is that sense of what does it mean to be present in the tensions of learning? Because there are tensions in learning if we're really going to be critical and also recognize that we bring all kinds of experiences to the table, yeah? So I want you all to come up, because we are going to have a time for Q&A. If people have questions that they want to ask. How are we doing for time, by the way? I don't have my... Oh, yeah. We've got 10 minutes. Okay, so if you want to come up here, So first of all, can we just give everyone, these three, an applause, please, just for what they've shared so far? So thank you. And I'm hoping that there will be some of you that will be brave enough to ask a question. I know we have lots of internal processors in the midst, but we also have those who may really silence their ideas because they don't want to speak up in public. But we learn so much from one another when we hear each other's voices. So if you have any questions, please raise them. This is a very capable group of young people who can very much hold their own when it comes to answering questions. And if they can't answer it, they'll let you know. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, questions, please. Yes.
It can be hard to see the immediate impact that you're making in the moment, but could you speculate on the difference or impact that this children's garden may make on the kids that you worked with and the experiences and perspectives that they have gained through the experience with you?
I'm actually going to ask you to say that again, but with a mic, so that people who are viewing, streaming, they can actually hear your brilliant question.
You can go ahead.
My question was that it can be hard to see the immediate impact of our work, but you mentioned working with children in the garden, and I'm just curious if you can speculate on how that work might impact their life and views on food and garden and etc.
I think on my behalf, I didn't grow up around gardening too much. And it actually wasn't until last summer that I was really in an area, in a group, in a space where I was exposed to. And for me, it brought a lot of patience and growth and a new perspective when working directly with it and seeing others work with it. So I think as a child, viewing that and seeing that, not only with other children around you, but leaders of the community, people who care for you, I think that brings an inspiration. I think that brings a perspective that, again, like children like maybe me, that I never got as a kid. So to answer your question, I think the children that we were with and that we got to help and they got to see us work with plants and in the gardens, I think the impacts that they're going to be left with are examples, are literally seeing leadership come about in spaces where gardening and planting is essential, and which I think is important for any child to be exposed to.
I also think it's really important to note that just as much as we spent time being exposed to these kids and they were exposed to us, we learned from them just as much as they learned from us. We learned how to be curious again. We learned how to be free and have fun. Those kids ran around that garden like crazy. And sometimes it felt like we should just join them maybe a little bit. I think sometimes we take ourselves too seriously. And the kids really taught us that it's okay to look at something like it's brand new again or for the first time.
Yeah. I think having spaces like the children's garden when I was younger would have been a very great thing. Because like, as critical as I just was, like, Bethel does bring like the interviewing process, like, they look for, the best of the best for these jobs. And I feel like having been a kid, watching someone like Max do what he does, teach the way he's teaching, watching Amber, that's like, gives me, would have given me a better, appreciation for, what it is to be a leader, and also like better appreciation for like older adults. In my culture, it's like, you have to look at adults in this way. It's like, you're not supposed to play with adults. You're not supposed to, it's just like, you only present to them with like respect and obedience. But in this context, it's like, this very free space where adults are acting like children. And I feel like this, in my case, would have helped me to grow up being more confident and appreciative of other adults and like my elders, and being willing to not always be so serious around on older people.
Can I also say that, can I also say, and Respect wouldn't say this, but I know that Megan would agree with me. Respect was a rock star for the children. When he came into that space, it was like he was like honey, and the kids swarmed around him. There's a beautiful photo, yes, I'm gonna say it, of this little boy. What was his name?
DJ.
DJ. And DJ made it very clear that he wanted to be picked up by you, yes, and sit on your shoulders. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
This is from someone who said he's not tender. He's learning tender, but I would say the tenderness was always there. And in many ways, the kids helped you to see that part of yourself. But it was just beautiful to see DJ captivated by this man and feeling safe to be with him. We have no idea the fruit of that interaction for DJ. But what can we learn from DJ? DJ made it very clear what his needs were. How many of us can say that? How many of us can, in a simple way, convey what we need without apology? Because I know many of y'all love to apologize for everything. Yeah, can I get an amen? Thank you, okay. And then just to be able to say it without shaming somebody. It was an invitation of joy, of connection, and it was beautiful to see. All right, any other questions? Got a couple more minutes. Yes, Megan.
I just have a comment. And that
What,
is-
Megan?
Thanks. Just when I hear you all say what was going on for you, and like Max wanted to be more of a leader, and Amber, was talking about how everybody was accepted, and of course, Respect and DJ. I just want to tell you that you have no idea the kind of ripple effects that you have
That's exactly
running through me and through Melvin and all of us, the neighborhood, those kids. You just don't know. And I think we have to take on faith that you put in your best, we put in our best, and that's going to carry the day and be felt where it's needed to be felt. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I don't want to cry, so I won't talk anymore.
Oh, bless you. I want to echo this. I went after we had a celebratory lunch, and somebody in the neighborhood came up to me and asked, why are you meeting in this restaurant, and who are these people? And I was telling them, this individual, what the amazing team, which is a title that Melvin gave them, the amazing team, what they did in the Rondo, Summit University, Midway, Frogtown area. And she said, were they on this block? And I said, yes. And they said, they made our neighborhood into a neighborhood, quote unquote. That was not solicited, but I would have to agree with Megan, you have no idea the ripple effects. So while we will still live in the tension of what's a distinction between social justice and charity, we have no idea the impact that you guys had and the people who you worked alongside with had in our community. So I think with that, we have to be a good student of time and close up. But can you all get a Danish or something before you leave, okay? And thank you all for coming. And I do want to big up academic affairs, because that is the umbrella division that allows us to do the work that we do. Associate Provost Julie Finnan was here, and she's a very busy woman. And she made time to be here. Obviously, Dean Fisher is here, but he has to be here because he knows that if he doesn't, and my Power Story students will understand this, I will haunt him. Okay, but seriously, thank you for our community partners, Ruth from Hubs, who's here, and others, and obviously UFGA. Thank you all, and have a great day. God bless.